Okay guys, I'm sure this video is going to go down well. Hello and welcome to FCTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about Raw on Netflix. The debut. This has been hyped. This is a big deal, and I thought it was boring. I thought it was really boring. But before we dive into that, please hit subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below, and I'll try to reply to every single one of them as we dive into this. So as the title of this video makes you aware, I have never watched in my life a full episode of Raw. That being due to limitations. We never had Sky, never had BT Sport, never had any of the platforms where Raw was available to watch a full episode, and by the time it was up on the network, you were 3 months out and there was no need to watch a full episode. But with Raw coming to Netflix, I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm not going to watch this in YouTube highlights, I'm going to watch a full episode and see what the deal is. See how a full episode of Raw works. It's a huge premiere. It's been hyped as a huge premiere, and to be honest, it fell flat in almost every aspect, from story to character to in-ring to everything. I was so underwhelmed by this episode, and it was one of the most tedious, laborious, boring 3 hours of my life. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We're going to talk about why I feel that way. It's not going to be a full play-by-play review. I'm going to talk about some of the angles, some of the matches, some of the stuff, but not a full review like I usually do. And we're going to start with promos. Boring Rock promo, where he just flipped. He's no longer the final boss. He's just cool with Cody. They're drinking tequila backstage. He's drinking and driving. That was weird. That was very odd character choice. He didn't help Roman during Roman's match either. He just came out after acknowledging him as the tribal chief. Okay, fine with that. Cena's promo, declared himself for the Rumble. That was about it, and it went on for way too long. Those two promos, cut them. You don't need them. You really don't need them, because what did they add? Thanking corporate Netflix executives and sponsors. Like, what a waste of time. And speaking of waste of time, my highlight of the show was everyone in that arena. Everyone in that arena booing the shit out of Hulk Hogan. One of the funniest things I've seen. 10 out of 10 for booing him. That was so ungodly funny. Ungodly funny. I was creasing at that. It wasn't intentional, but you know what I'm saying. Promos. They were mid. They were mid stuff. I know The Rock can do better promos. I know Cena can do better promos, and they were not up to the standard that we expect from them. Then I think we need to talk about the main thing you usually watch a wrestling show for, and that is wrestling matches, which for the most part I thought under-delivered, considering you had CM Punk versus Seth Rollins on this card. Like, it should be an amazing main event. They are two of the best wrestlers in the world, but in the end, it was a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 wrestling match, and it didn't light the world on fire. I think we were expecting a lot more from this match that was potentially going to be a WrestleMania main event. And then you've got tribal combat with Solo and Roman, which is every Roman and Solo match you've seen, where the first 15 minutes don't matter. Interference, everyone comes down, Roman wins. What are we doing? The Jay versus Drew match was completely fine. The crowd weren't that into it. Jay won with a roll up. And then Rhea versus Liv. I'm fine with this being the end. I'm so happy that this is the end of the Judgment Day and the end of Rhea feuding with the Judgment Day. At least I fucking hope so. But the match was fine. It's every Liv versus Rhea match we've seen, and it added nothing new. Like, that was my probably my main takeaway from this show is that everything on this show felt stale. Nothing felt new, apart from like fancy new production and drone shots. Everything about it felt like I'd seen this a million times. And for a show that is like supposed to be the peak of pro wrestling, there was not enough pro wrestling on this pro wrestling show for me to get invested in the pro wrestling. It was just hype packages, entrances, promos. The wrestling is such an afterthought on this show, and that's just makes me think that maybe this is not for me. Maybe I'm not the target audience for Raw anymore, because I think for 3 hours having 4 mid matches is completely unacceptable for a wrestling show, and it's not the type of wrestling that I want to cover, because it's not exciting. And I think that's the biggest crime of this episode of Raw, is that it was not exciting to me. It was dull, boring, plodding, and just took a while to get through. It felt like 3 hours, and I was expecting so much more. I thought this would be such a turning point for like wrestling fans, that they were going to see what WWE had been offering. Like, they're hot at the moment, everyone loves WWE, but I think there is a segment of fans who just don't get what WWE are offering for, and I thought this was going to be their coming out party, but I actually think this exemplified all the worst qualities of WWE that fans like me are not invested in, like not having exciting matches, bland promos, stale production. It just didn't hit. But if we're going to talk about positives, mentioning production, the graphics. I will give them props for the graphics. I think the moving match graphics are awesome. I think the new logo is really good. I think all of that was good to an extent, but I just feel like everything else felt bland. It felt really bland. It felt like if you put pro wrestling, if this show felt like if pro wrestling was made by AI. It had no heart, it had no soul, and that was disappointing for me. I think that's the best way I can round off this video, is say that I just felt like this was underwhelming and yeah, AI generated, and that sucks. That really sucks to say, because I love Seth, I love Rhea, I love Punk, I love the majority of people who are involved in this show, but it feels so corporate. It feels so corporate and so just mid, and that really sucks to say, because I was excited for this. I really was. The one thing that I was looking forward to the most we didn't even get, and that was Penta. We got a logo for Penta, and he's going to be facing Chad Gable. Okay, but I'm not going to watch next week's, and I think this show might turn a lot of people off. I think they're thinking this will be a big influx of new viewers. I think it might be the opposite. I think some people might turn this off because they see it as being boring. They're like, that initial shock of, oh my god, it's The Rock, and then The Rock's just saying stuff. He's just being boring. He's just saying stuff, and it takes 30 minutes to get to an actual wrestling match. I think it might turn viewers off, but I could be wrong. Overall, I'd give the show a 2 out of 5, because I thought there were some highlights in the Seth match, but that was it. It was, tedious, boring, and I'm sure this video is going to go down well. So please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll try to reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.